everybody, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are brothers.
Yes, we are. And today we are going to jump into the deep end of the pool and talk about eschatology concerning the rise of the beast.
Eschatology. What is this about? Makes no sense to me.
Basically, we're going to talk about the end times, Bible prophecy concerning the rise of the Antichrist and its seat of power.
The Antichrist was an Eskimo?
No, Josh.
I have not read Revelation properly. What is this?
Yes.
Do you know that in 1 John 2:18 we read, "Little children, is it the last hour? And as you've heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that this is the last hour."
That's true.
I thought there was only one Antichrist.
Well, there are many Antichrists throughout history, people who had the spirit of Antichrist upon them, like Nebuchadnezzar, Antiochus Epiphanes, Nero, Constantine, Charlemagne, Frederick Barbarossa, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, Adolf Hitler. All these people had that spirit, as John the Apostle warns. They went out from us, but they were not of us. It was a thing of deception. They appear to be something that they're not. He also says that in verse 22, he is Antichrist who denies the Father of the Son. So the Antichrist isn't really denying the existence of God, but who is God's identity, and an Antichrist becomes that representative of God.
Let's look at the first ever in the Bible dictator who had the spirit of the Antichrist on him. Okay? His name was Nimrod.
Oh.
And he was Noah's great-grandson. Guys, this is not the way you want to start off a story. I'm going to destroy everything on earth except for these righteous people right here. And your grandson's going to be the Antichrist. Dang it! That defeated the purpose. But Genesis 10:8 says that Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth.
Well, Nimrod's name means to rebel. We know rebellion is against God. Rebellion is from Satan. God cast out of heaven because of his rebellion. Nimrod was that first one-world dictator that gathered all peoples together to build the Tower of Babel to heaven in defiance against God. Well, the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus gives them a little bit of extra information. He said that Nimrod deceived the people in telling them that God was not going to keep his promises, that he was going to send another flood to destroy the people on the earth. Therefore, they had to build a tower to the heavens to defy God, to be protected from this flood coming. That's really very deceptive, is it not?
Flavius Josephus, not a rapper. No, Jewish historian.
And then after that, you can see in the Sumerian cultures, they built these ziggurats, these astrological temples to worship the heavens, and it sort of became a thing, didn't it?
It did become a thing. And did you know that every serious false religion on the planet began with Nimrod? Am I correct in this? It began with the Sumerian civilization?
Yeah.
Who did they worship?
It was this worship of Baal. It wasn't called Baal at that point. Marduk was the god, but then his chief name was Bel, or Bel. And as we've spoken before, his name changed throughout the cultures after the languages were scattered, and thus you had worship to people like Osiris in the Egyptian mythologies, and you had Zeus, you had Jupiter, and so it carried on. But this institution of these false pagan religions to get worship away from God started with Nimrod. And that is Antichrist, is it not?
If you haven't heard of Nimrod in your Sunday school class, it's because he's super mysterious in the Bible. In fact, when you look in there in Genesis 10:9, it says, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. What does that redundant statement mean, brother?
Well, many rabbinic and scholarly sources claim that Nimrod was known as a man of blood, that he hunted down and slew the Lord's people. He was a hunter. He was hunting God's people. He wasn't this great heroic hunter. And the word mighty in Hebrew is gibor. And you see that same terminology used in Genesis 6 when it's talking about the Nephilim, that they were the gibor, they were the mighty ones. Who are the Nephilim? Well, they are the progeny of fallen angels coming down and mating with the daughters of men and creating these hybrids, these giants, just like this hybrid moose thing you see right here.
So progeny is demon love?
It's pretty disgusting. But these rabbis and scholars say that Nimrod was a Nephilim, that he was a hybrid. He was a giant. He slew the Lord's people. And you see the constellation of the giant Orion in the sky. That was named after Nimrod.
That was Nimrod?
He, the great hunter.
Knew I hated that the constellation.
Yeah, that's Nimrod right there.
I mean, could the beast itself, whose name evokes a chimera or composite of creatures, also be Nephilim? Would make sense.
And so you look at Nimrod, and he established many kingdoms after the dispersion of Babel. And these kingdoms are very important, these territories that he established.
Verse 10.
Yeah.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. Eric, Cod, yep, Calneh, in the land of Shinar. This is where we get the civilizations of mankind from the Sumerians,
Akkadians,
Uruk.
yeah, or like all these different places. Verse 11, from that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah. So here we see Nimrod traveled north. He established what will become the Assyrian Empire.
So basically all the stories in the Bible about this town being really terrible and full of sin, Nimrod started.
He started Babylon, he started Assyria, he started all these different places that we've heard about where sin and evil comes from. Why is Assyria so important? Let's look at Revelation 17. Many of you have heard of the great whore of Babylon, have you not?
I knew her. No?
Mystery Babylon the Great. There's this woman, a great whore, that John the Apostle sees riding on this beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns. It's terrifying. It's very similar to in Daniel chapter 7, the prophet sees a beast with 10 horns also. And we know that these 10 horns represent 10 kings of this final one world kingdom at the end of time that the beast rules over. Revelation 17:12 explains that. About the 10 kings and the ruler. Babylon the Great being the one world religion that everybody commits fornication with and worships. Verse 9, we learn that the 7 heads of the beast are 7 mountains or 7 hills. His throne, his seat, a territory. And Daniel has already explained through the beasts that came before. There's 3 beasts that came before that final beast. You know, you have Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and then Rome. That this final beast is the Roman Empire, and thus it was a revived Roman Empire. Well, the Roman Empire was never destroyed, was it?
No.
The empire was split into eastern and western portions. The Western Roman Empire was destroyed in late 400 AD, but the eastern portion carried on for 1,000 more years and changed names to the Byzantine Empire and eventually transformed into the Ottoman Empire.
Many people say, well, the beast is going to be a Roman. Rome is going to be the seat of a beast, because isn't Rome called the city on the 7 hills?
It is, but that's not, where is it today?
See, it's interesting to note that Constantinople was the first capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, the portion that survived and we believe will be revived. Why is this important?
Constantinople is also known as the city on the 7 hills. It is Istanbul, present-day Istanbul, which is Turkey.
I knew it. The song says Constantinople's nobody's business but the Turks.
It's the ancient Assyrian Empire all over again. Nimrod founded it. So you get this kind of first Nimrod and last Nimrod territory going on here, which is very interesting. History and prophecy is becoming cyclical. So Daniel 10 establishes the identity of the beast who commits the abomination of desolation. And it describes them as being, Syrian descent, Syrian. We know that the abomination of desolation was manifest in Antiochus Epiphanes, and that he committed this great act. But Yeshua also warns in Matthew 24:15 that there's an abomination to come. So this prophecy is a two-parter. It happened once, it'll happen again. So to be fulfilled the same way, then we're looking for another Antiochus Epiphanes, who was a Greco-Syrian ruler over the territory of a Seleucid empire, which, guess what? The Assyrian Empire, present-day Turkey.
So Micah 5:5, that's when it hits the fan, isn't it? That's when everything culminates.
Micah 5:5 is very interesting. We love Micah 5 because here's this prophecy that the Messiah is going to come out of Bethlehem. He's going to rule the nations. He's going to be a Prince of Peace. We get to verse 5 and no one reads anymore. They stop
because here's what happens next.
Yeah.
When the Assyrian comes into our land.
The Assyrian.
Yeah, when the Assyrian.
The Assyrian comes into the land.
And when he treads in our palaces, then we will raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 princely men. They shall waste with the sword the land of Assyria and the land of Nimrod as its entrances. Thus he shall deliver us from the Assyrian when he comes into our land and when he treads within our borders.
See, the he is Messiah, and scholars all place this as an eschatological event that has not happened. This is in the future, because none of this ever happened when the Assyrian Empire came the first time and laid waste to Israel. So this has not happened yet. This will happen at the end of times. The Assyrian, he represents this Antichrist figure. He's coming again. It's given the identity from the land of Nimrod. Once again, we get this kind of connection. So this is our best guess. Using the scripture, trying to understand prophecy, we think the Antichrist may be Assyrian. Some people may say Roman. Everybody throughout history has had their own perspectives. We had Zola Levitt gave his own perspective, Hal Lindsey, and it's okay for everyone to have their own perspective, isn't it?
So what you're saying is look for some available real estate in Turkey. Prices are falling now. Guys, Yeshua says it, revolution, yeah, revolution. Revelation 22:7.
Yeah.
Behold, I am coming quickly. Blessed is he who keeps the words of prophecy of this book.
Wow, a blessing.
Be ready,
Yeah.
be aware, look around you, see the signs of the times, look at the scripture.
Yeah.
Like Caleb said, we don't know for sure, this is our best guess, but it's important to not just turn a blind eye to it and to
Yes.
be ready, because at any time, the fan with all the poo is ready to be hit.
Join us next time.
You don't want to be in front of that fan.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to be behind the fan. Pretty much anywhere around the fan, when the poo is it's going to be egregious.